All right, bro. Let's get after it. All right. The first two questions are optional for privacy legal purposes. 30 to 39. Prefer not to give my age. Male. There we go. Observational skills play a very important role in autism diagnosis. Typical adult with autism would be highly observant in certain areas while lacking in other generic observation skills. In this, we will evaluate your strengths and weaknesses. Okay. Now, I promise you I'm going to answer these as truthfully as I can. I tend to notice and may get disturbed by small sounds that others may or may not care about. Strongly agree. That's my entire life. That is like, describes my 32 years on this earth. All sounds as small as they can be. Bro, my bedroom that I grew up in, the attic and the central heating system, what's it called? The furnace. There was a ticking noise. And my dad there was always a ticking every single night. And my dad tried to find the reason it was happening. He thought it was just the metal in the vents and the ducts expanding and compressing and decompressing. Oh my God, bro. Dude, I'll never forget it. This girl's name was Leanne. I sat next to her in 7th grade. It was my homeroom, like, sitting partner. She would do this thing with her pencil all fucking day where it would, oh my God. This is my entire life. I get hooked on to minute pieces of information. I have an eye for little things like car number plates or workstation locker numbers in my office. I slightly agree with that. I like to engage in activities or games with kids that involve pretending or making up stuffs. I like to engage in activities or games with kids that involve pretending or... I don't do a lot of pretending. I live in reality, and I'm pessimistic as fuck. Even if I'm reading a bestseller, often I don't understand what the characters are up to or what their intentions may be. Strongly disagree. I'm always trying to predict the plot of anything that I'm watching or reading. By looking at a person, I'm often able to guess what he or she might be thinking or how they might be feeling. That's all I do. I don't mean to sound as if I'm a nice person, because I can definitely be a dick, but I think I'm overly empathetic and always trying to make sure people around me are happy. And if my wife's mood is even slightly off, I'm trying to figure out why, what happened, how do we turn it around? This is my entire life. I find it hard to imagine what it would be like to become someone else. It's not always possible to put myself in someone else's shoes. I think I'm pretty good at understanding other people's perspectives. I actually make a lot of decisions that I make based off of how I think others would be affected by the decision that I make. All right. The objective of this section is to evaluate the social interaction skills that you possess. Your social habits, the circle you mingle with, tells us a lot about your autism quotient. I generally do understand the boundaries between being rude and being polite. I strongly agree. My parents made sure my entire life that I was polite, cordial, use my manners. I'm actually nicer to people that I don't know than people that I don't, which is kind of fucked up. When in a social situation, I'm relatively easygoing. Even though I may be initially uncomfortable, I warm up to the occasion eventually. You guys might not believe me, but social interactions like this were probably the hardest for me growing up, and even are still now to this day. That's why I like keep a small circle and being around people that I know, because I'm comfortable with them. I can be myself. And whenever I meet people in public, have no idea like what they're thinking or how to talk to them, and end up being really awkward in the things that I say and the things that I do. So I'm going to slightly disagree. Actually, I strongly disagree. I hate social situations. The size of my friend circle is like close friends, 5 to 10. I usually enjoy doing stuff with others rather than myself. Strongly disagree. I like doing things with my wife, and a lot of activities I like to do on my own. I'd love to do things on my own. I don't understand why sometimes my friends or immediate family members get bored or annoyed with something I've done. I'm always like it's like I'm like a Bluetooth device. I'm always scanning to see if I'm annoying people. So I strongly disagree. I tend to feel out of place in a larger group. Strongly agree. I am usually the last person to get a joke. Strongly agree. I thought for a long time I have Asperger's, because a lot of jokes that people make, I don't realize it's a joke, and then I have to do a fake laugh, which I'm like thinking to myself, everybody probably knows that I'm fake laughing, and I'm embarrassing myself. I enjoy casual conversations with friends and family members. Some say I may be chatty. Strongly disagree. I hate small talk. It's my least favorite thing in the world, genuinely. Besides terrorists and stuff like that. I get excited about marriages and theme parties. I enjoy social occasions. I genuinely will do everything I can to stay away from those events. I have a good understanding of what my friends and family expect from me. I find it easy to work out people's intentions. I agree with that. And that's what stresses me out, their expectations. I enjoy meeting new people from different cultural, social, and financial backgrounds. Strongly disagree. When I get bored, this is what I like to do most. Gadgets, chat with people, read a book, romance movies, gadgets. If it were a different... Actually, I do love romance movies, but like rom-coms, not like chick flicks. I really enjoy when I'm the center of attention in a group. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If it's like gaming related, I don't mind being the center of attention. But I don't know. Actually, no. I do not like being the center of attention. Like, even our wedding, I'm like, no, I don't. I hate this because everybody's just like looking to talk to me. I don't think it's a maybe. I'm going no. If someone who I may like is trying to flirt with me, my initial reaction would be, for this question, assume you're single and available for casual dating. If somebody's flirting with me, my initial reaction would be, fuck yeah, I want to be flirted with. If I were single 6 years ago, now I like when my wife flirts with me now. I love that. The purpose of this section right here, this is the communication skills. The questions would be targeted around the specific areas that are applicable to your age and gender. All right. When in a social gathering, I can participate and keep track of multiple conversations that I've had. I can't remember somebody's name the second they tell me, and I'm damn sure multiple conversations that I may have had. When in a gathering, I can participate and keep track of multiple conversations. I can keep up if I need to, for sure, though I do not look forward to it. Making up stories as casual conversation starters comes easy to me. I can tell a story, but it's only to kill the awkward silences. I literally feel like I have to be talking when I meet somebody. If they're not talking, I can't sit in silence with somebody I just met, but I can sit in silence with the people that I know best, and that's why I keep a small circle. I enjoy casual chit-chats, gossips, rumors, similar fun conversations. Yes, what an utter waste of time. I detest any such conversation. Absolutely. Hate small talk. When I talk, I seldom give other people the opportunity to utter a word. I feel deeply disturbed if I'm interrupted. I spend a lot of my time in conversations with people to make sure that I'm not talking too much. And if I am talking too much, and I'm like in the middle of a story, I want to get to the end of the story, but it's going to take a second, I apologize for saying, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but hold on. So I definitely give people, I want people to not interrupt me so I can finish my story. So I'm always thinking about when they're talking, I can't interrupt. But I do interrupt people a lot. I slightly agree. Keeping conversation going is often a challenge for me. Yes, it's exhausting for me to keep a situation or a conversation going. I will keep conversing only if the situation demands. Agreed. That's your big ass ego, Nade. I'm not sure what you said that in reference to, but I think every man has an ego, but I definitely have an ego in certain regards of my life, certain aspects, but I never I want people to tell me I'm good at something. I don't want to if I have to tell somebody that I'm good at something, then I think that I'm not good enough at it. I really like compliments. So I definitely think I have an ego, but I try not to show it off or like rub it in people's faces. I try to keep my ego in check. I think every man has an ego. I think you kind of have to be if you want to be a man in this world, but I don't think it's something that I bolster, if that makes sense. I definitely was more egotistical when I was younger. Lately, I generally kind of think that I'm terrible at everything I do. So let's go with that. I can read between lines when in a conversation. I'm always kind of trying to read between the lines. I feel like I'm overly perceptive. And I think that because my mom, she was addicted to painkillers and shit when I was a kid. And I was always trying to figure out whether she had taken some that day or not. And I could always tell when something was off. I think that caused me to just be overly perceptive at anything. Like, I always tell my wife, I can see the moment where her mood changes. I can see it in like the light in her eye. Like, I can see the way her eyes look. And I'm like, what's wrong? Something's got to be wrong. Tell me what's wrong. Did I do something? You got to tell me. When speaking on the phone, I'm often not sure when it's my turn to speak. I don't talk on the phone much, so I neither agree nor disagree. People often complain that I tend to keep going on and on about the same subject. If I'm going on and on about the same subject, I'm generally aware that I'm doing it. So I try to read the room. Like, am I talking about this thing too much? Should I shut the fuck up? I should probably shut the fuck up. And if I'm talking about it, I'll apologize. People often complain I tend to keep going on about the same subject. I slightly disagree with that. I'm a good diplomat. I can avoid tricky or complicated situations. Personal habits play a crucial role in the accurate diagnosis of autism in adults. This section will assess your sensory, cognitive, behavioral patterns. I am more comfortable doing these things the same way every time, even though they might be a better alternative. Strongly agree. Once I find a way to do something, once I find a way to take care of myself, eat something, I do the same thing every day. You guys see that. I have little or no problem with imagination. When I imagine something, I find it fairly easy to visualize the same. I can visualize things pretty well from a creative standpoint. Imagination and visualization are different things that don't go together for me. I don't really do a lot of imagination. I don't imagine things. I kind of am rooted in reality. I don't really know how to answer this one. Anybody know the best way to fucking navigate this question? I don't even know what... You ever imagine dragons? I would say probably the last one. I get so involved with something at hand that I tend to overlook activities that I need to pursue. I was in the best shape of my life before my wedding, and then I started playing Valorant, and I never did anything again. I think a lot of people probably do that, though. I am one-track minded 100%. When I go all in on something, that's all I want to do, and it's all I can think of. And that's my entire life. And it comes in waves. I have a powerful imagination. If I'm reading a story, I can easily imagine what the characters look like. Yeah, it depends on if the writer has explained it properly. I am more strongly attached to people than to things. I'm more attached to people than to things. I mean, I love really hard. I love my wife. I love to mingle around. I would much rather, my answer would probably be I would much rather avoid company. I definitely like to avoid company at all costs. But if I'm in it, I'll say yes, but unless I'm in a terrible mood. This is how I react to changes in routine. I hate that. Hate that. The big picture interests me more than the small nitty gritty details. I mean, I'm detail orientated with stuff that I like. See, these are kind of ambiguous, bro. Like, there's certain aspects of my life where I'm really into details. Like, I don't know, Chad. This one's kind of weird. I feel very strongly about things I want to do, and I get upset if I can't pursue them. Yes, strongly agree. This is how I feel when my supervisor tells me to switch from one activity to another. I mean, I don't really have a supervisor, but if I were in this situation, don't tell me what to fucking do. I'm doing something right now. I tend to get anxious, nervous when encountered with a new or unexpected situation. Strongly agree. That's why I don't like to leave the house. That's why I have a hard time going to a new restaurant that I'd never been to with my wife. That's why I'm going to give you guys a perfect scenario. There was a driving range that I went to all the time in LA. It was called Rancho Park. They had mats. They didn't have real grass. And that kind of drove me nuts. But I had been there before. I've been there multiple times. I went there a lot. I knew what it was like. I knew what interactions I would have. I knew the exact process that I would go through to get from the front door to my mat to hit golf balls. Then I found out from my buddy Connor that there was a range like equidistant to Rancho Park that had real grass, but it was at a golf course. For 6 months, I debated on going to that golf course because I wanted to hit on real grass, but I never pulled the trigger on going to it because I didn't want to have an awkward situation where the range was really only used for people that had a tee time for that day and didn't want to ask people questions, didn't want to have an awkward interaction, didn't want to feel out of place. This was actually such a big problem for me that when you go to Rancho Park on the street that I lived on, you either take a left to go there or you take a right to get on the highway to go to this new range. One time I worked up the courage to go to the new range. I took a right. Literally the next light, I did a U-turn and just decided I'm going to go be complacent with hitting off the mats because it's what I know and I don't want to have an awkward interaction. So I'm going to do that. I hate new encounters. That's why I love being at home. That's why I don't like to travel. I am comfortable with multitasking. And then I finally went because my buddy was going. My friend had been there before. He's the one that gave me golf lessons. His name was Nick. McGowan actually came with me, and it wasn't scary in the slightest. It was actually awesome. OMG, how the fuck did you run a company? Shit, bro. A lot of help. A lot of help. I am comfortable with multitasking. I can only focus on one thing at a time. I often rely on instincts and act spontaneously. Strongly agree. I would rate my concentration levels as good. Personal interest. Where would I rather be? Library, party, dinner, at home. I may not be a mathematician, but that has nothing to do with my love for numbers. Numbers fascinate me. Strongly disagree. Hate numbers. While in school, this is how I would have rated my favorite subjects. Math, 1. Science, I always like science. I'll put that at a 4. English, 2. History, I kind of liked history. I gave that, I like World War II history. I like that. Others, 1. A perfect weekend getaway for me would be the movies, bro. Go sit in a dark room and fucking avoid interaction. Patterns exist everywhere, and I can spot them easily. Strongly agree. I feel like pattern recognition is something I'm good at. I hardly notice small changes in a person's appearance or a situation. I think that there has never been a moment when somebody has walked into the 100 Thieves compound where I didn't notice immediately if they got a haircut. Swear to God. I took pride in knowing when somebody got a haircut or not. No bullshit. It was actually something that doped me out. My favorite social media is Twitter. Miscellaneous questions. The emoticon that best describes my usual mood would be sugar, music, neutral, mischievous, happy. I feel like I'm pretty neutral at the emoticon that would really represent my mood. The one word that describes me best is please choose a simple English word that our computer can understand. Put a simple word. Should I say flaccid? Stressed. Use a desktop. Draw any geometric shape that comes to your mind. Jump in the back. Fuck. I don't know. Fucking, I'll do a square. Oh, shit. If I put a triangle on top of this, this would be every artwork I ever made as a kid. A house. I would do a door. And then windows. And then a roof. That would be every art that I would make. But I'll just make a square. Okay, I'm going to go full camera chat. Type in my details here. Borderline or high-functioning autism. All right. I'm riding the line, gentlemen. I'm somewhere in between. I think that checks out. I mean, I've gotten pretty far in my life. I think everybody has certain traits of their lives that are on a spectrum. We're all on the spectrum in some way or another. Without being like a TikTok influencer who's just claiming to have autism, self-diagnosing, I definitely think I have certain tendencies that you see in folks that are autistic. Do I think that I'm full-blown, autistic? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just took this fucking AI test and paid $2.99 to get the results. I scored a 62%. These were the last results I got. All right. This individual score was at or above the cutoff of 65, indicating their responses are consistent with autism. I got a raw score of 127. Autism percentile, 42.8%. So, I don't know, bro. We might have a little autism. That's it. All right, gentlemen. We did a whole fucking thing. I can't believe that we just went through that whole thing and did that. Hey, man, you know what? I've had a lot of people ask me to do that on stream, so I'm glad that I finally got it out the way.